Good morning, everybody. Probably like everybody else, you haven't been rushing outside to make any snowmen or snow people, as the weather be very cold. So I'm delighted you're here today. I'm also delighted to have such a good panel of speakers coming up, particularly on a whole issue that we all need to think about, which is all around how we actually market, how we actually use social, and the whole aspects of actually selling to our wonderful customers. But I just want to start off with a few updates on things that have happened literally in the last few days, plus maybe a bit of speculation on my part. Firstly, for those who haven't picked it up, the Chancellor leaked, or it did come out, about changes in the bounce back loans. And we'll be putting this in the newsletter this week. But there was the first announcement that they could be extended up to 10 years rather than 6 years. Probably more of practical immediate interest is the other two flexibilities that were put in. Is one is that during the bounce back repayment period, you can opt to have 3 months of interest, 3 periods of 6 months of interest only payments. So that could come in quite handy at the end of this year when cash again might well be tight, but also the chance to have a 6-month holiday full stop. So that might well be something that you could initiate this May. So there's lots of things there. The one thing is, don't rush off to phone your bank. Your bank will be in touch with you when they work this through. So on those bounce back loans, no change the percentage or the amount you can get, but quite considerable changes to how it can get paid back. And that can make the difference on a 50k loan, going interest only from 400 odd pounds down to actually only £100 a month. So hopefully that will help. The other one is a growing combined ask of government for the budget coming up in just under a month. The sort of three main asks and then a subsidiary ask, partly taken away because of the bounce back, is one, the extension of VAT at 3% to go all the way through till the end of the year. The second one is on business rates, to actually a holiday to continue, or at least some actual aspects around business rates to ease it, and for furloughing to continue, particularly, around wedding venues, all sorts of outdoor, all sorts of events, and other people where actually even when we start opening up, they might be delayed, and that to be still there. And further might need to be needed because of social distancing, that you can't operate fully. And the last ask is around civils and bibbles, the coronavirus loans and the bounce back loans, again for deferred payments on those, but some of that has already been asked. One thing we will be bringing back to you is a direction of travel for tourism and the visitor economy over the next 10 years to make it more competitive, but also more sustainable and regenerative. And that was presented in headline terms to the Cornwall Leadership Board on Friday. And that did include proposals to bring in compulsory registration for all accommodation providers, and there was interest in that, and we'll be working on a proposition of how that could operate. And again, that's something we'll pick up in future webinars. So it's been quite an eventful few days. Most importantly, some of that extra help, particularly around the bounce back loans. Now on to some speculation, and I'm as good as anybody else to speculate. I hate to say it, but I think there's only a 30% chance that we'll be opening accommodation at Easter or before Easter. There's probably a greater chance it might open during the holidays after Easter, probably because we're looking more at the April period, towards the end of April, than it would be. But we'll all wait and see what gets announced in the next week or so from the government. So I'm not going to go on anymore, but I thought it was just important to introduce those things. The feedback the messages we're putting out to the media are constantly asking is that Cornwall is not fully booked this summer, that the bookings are coming in fast and forward bookings are ahead of where we would expect, but that people should be contacting their businesses that they've stayed with before to book direct, to get on and get those bookings in now, and to be reassured that people have good cancellation policies. So, and we will keep that message out, and we're particularly spreading the message of the importance of multi-generational families and families generally, and loved ones getting back together and friends being together. It's been a long, hard year by the time we cut over a year, come out of this, and it's time to reconnect with people. And that's our underlying message. It's time to reconnect, make new memories, and what better place to do that in Cornwall And we'll be working also to make sure that that business goes on into the autumn, which leads me on nicely to hand over. I think, Louise, are you going to be doing some introductions?
Yes,
Louise?
sure thing. Yeah, thank you, Malcolm. Welcome, everyone. My name's Louise. I am the Tourism Connector for the Growth Hub. Firstly, I'd like to introduce all our guest speakers and welcome them. We're really delighted to be joined by Jim from Barefoot Media. Hi, Jim.
Hello.
And Catherine George from Oso Social.
Hi.
And finally, Matt from Pedal Creative.
Morning, everyone.
Just really a very quick overview. Just want to introduce the work that we're doing at the Growth Hub, just to kind of reinforce the message really that we're here to support businesses at this time. I've been brought in to work for the Growth Hub during this challenging time for businesses through the COVID pandemic and with the EU transition. And we're here to do the legwork for you. If you have any questions, any queries, if you want some support or some guidance, that's what the Growth Hub's here to do. Rob, can we go to the next slide?
Sorry, it's getting there. We're on a go slow today.
Yeah, this fills my 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's just hung. Sorry. Normally we do PowerPoint, but we thought we'd choose PDF today. But it seems to have ground to a halt.
The next slide really is just a few quotes from businesses that we've worked with. We've reached out to thousands of businesses over the last few months, and we want to continue to be there to support. So with this, working with organisations like Visical, we're here just to kind of reach out so that businesses know that there is that support available to them. And yeah, we're getting some really positive feedback and working with a lot of local businesses.
Sorry, the slides have hung. Bear with me a second. I'll try and fix it. It's gone horribly wrong. We're there in a second. There we go. It'll just be a second or two, and then it should. Just restarting now. And nearly there.
Joys of technology.
Yeah, it was all going so well.
I know. These things don't happen in practice reruns.
Yeah, exactly. It all worked okay. Just gonna find the file and open it back up again. Okay, there we go. Can you see that okay now?
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry about that. Don't distract.
Yeah, so just a couple quotes there from other businesses. Yeah, and ultimately just contact us if you have any questions or queries. Like I said, we are there to kind of do that legwork, find out the answers to any questions that you've got through connections that we work with. So, you know, via our website or phone us directly. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Jim, who's going to talk about, making your kind of marketing strategy, developing your marketing strategy for your business. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you, Louise. Hello, everyone. I'll just do a very quick intro. I set up Beckford Media in 2002, so we've been going for a fair old while now. We're a team of 6 full-time staff. We're based just outside Wadebridge, and we predominantly work with businesses from the tourism and hospitality sector. We have done for many years, and it's an area that we know well and we feel we understand well, and we're really passionate about working with these businesses and really enjoy the work we're lucky enough to do. Rob, can I have the next slide, please? So we work with, as I said, tourism businesses, hospitality, and our services are really all come from a content perspective. My background's journalism, and PR was the first thing that we ever offered as a service. And over the years, that's really expanded into any other forms of content, and we really enjoy working on integrated campaigns where we join up across all these different channels and have some consistency through the messaging, and really have a nice sort of cohesive feel to the campaigns we like to work on. And really what I'm going to talk about today is how you can draw on all of these elements here that are outlined on the screen, what you can be working on in these areas now to get ready for when you're able to open up again and start welcoming visitors and guests, and then looking slightly further ahead to next year and beyond, in how we can capitalise on a lot of the opportunities that are going to come to Cornwall this year, and what you can do to put yourself in a good position to get more direct bookings and more repeat bookings in subsequent years. Next slide, please, Rob. I've got a couple of examples of clients we've worked with recently, just to give you some context and hopefully a bit of inspiration and some ideas. The Headland, we've just come to the end of a 2-year contract to look after their PR and also some email marketing service for them. In that time, we secured over 600 pieces of media coverage for them, with a cumulative reach of just under 1.5 billion opportunities to see. The two things that have been really helpful in working with the Headland has been their recent investment in a new aqua club leisure facility, and during our time looking after them, they landed a double 5-star rating from the AA from Quality in Tourism, both of which are huge stories for them, but also for Cornwall. And one of the things that's so important with PR is having new things to talk about. And I appreciate that not everyone here has got anything like the budgets that the Headland have to invest in their business. But the key thing is having something that's new to talk about is so important, particularly if you want to reach people through PR and through media coverage. But it's something that applies across all aspects of the business and all aspects of marketing. Next slide, please, Rob. Relatively speaking, at the other end of the spectrum, the Old House is a farm stay holiday provider based up near Wadebridge, between Wadebridge and Polzeath. They have around 30 cottages that they operate and manage themselves, and over the years have managed to really keep away from any sort of reliance on things like Airbnb or Vrbo or the booking.coms of the world, and have built up a really, really strong repeat booking business where they're anywhere from 50–60% of their trade each year is from previous guests. And one of the ways they've done that is by using what they've got. So they're a working farm, and by running campaigns such as Lambing Live in November and February and March, when typically Cornwall is very quiet. They've got stuff going on the farm, which is really attractive and appealing to families with preschool age children. So they can come and meet newborn lambs, see what's going on the farm, see the animals being fed. And for short breaks, midweek breaks and out of season breaks, it's a really compelling offering and something that's allowed them to sort of fill in some of their occupancy in the quieter months. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a bit of a flavour for the different types of opportunities you can find within your own business to talk about and position yourselves as having something unique. So turning to the year ahead, I think Cornwall last year had a huge surge in demand when everything was able to open up, and lots of the information we were being given by our clients anecdotally was that they were seeing a really different demographic or a different group of people, different customers to their usual customers. And with overseas travel being problematic last year, I think a lot of people rediscovered Cornwall or maybe came for the first time. And knowing what we know about the place where we live, a lot of those people are going to want to come back. On top of that, we've got, I think, 5 different TV shows were featuring Cornwall in the past month. We've got the G7. We've got overseas travel is going to continue to be very challenging or impossible for the year ahead. So there are a lot of positives and a lot of reasons why Cornwall is going to be on people's agenda and people's hit list to come and visit. Another thing we're hearing as well is that the average length of stays that people are booking has gone from 3–4 days to maybe 5 or 6 or 7 days. So people are spending more of their holiday budget here. Overlaid on that, though, we've got the unpredictability. We don't know what the government restrictions are going to be or when they're going to be lifted. So flexibility is going to be key. And I think the final opportunity, coming back to the themes with the headland about what's new, is for hospitality. I think a lot of people have been either reluctant to invest or unable to invest in their offerings. So there is a bit of a dearth through the media of new stories, new openings, because it takes people with some pretty rock solid backing or some very courageous people to launch a new business at this time. The flip side of that is there's a lot less competition in the media for coverage. So if you are doing something new or can work up a new angle, a new package, a new offering, then it's a pretty happy hunting ground at the moment. Next slide, please, Rob. So looking really at a top level strategy for your marketing for the year, one of the things we use with a lot of our clients is the PESO model, which stands for paid, earned, shared and owned media channels. And it's often a useful way to look at the marketing you've been doing to date and what you're planning to do, and just seeing what you've got falling under each of these different areas. So paid is anything that costs money to get your message out there. So conventional print display advertising, pay-per-click, Google AdWords, falling into a bit of paid social campaigns, social media advertising, These are all great because they're very scalable, in that the more you spend, the further your reach can go. It's very quick. It can be switched on and off, particularly digitally. One of the drawbacks is it leaves you with really no ongoing legacy unless you're able to capture the traffic that's driven or the interest from customers. So it's a great way if you need to hit a certain message quickly and switch things on and off. Earned media PR is a media coverage, is a classic example of this. It has the credibility of being endorsed by a third party and a trusted, authentic source. But also customer reviews are a really good example of how even tiny businesses can harness that. So it's thinking about what you do to encourage customers, particularly happy customers, to leave reviews on Google, on Facebook, on any other booking platforms you might use. Shared media, I won't go into that too much because Catherine's going to have a whole chunk on social. But it's also just trying to think about word of mouth, particularly if you're so many hospitality businesses are in the really lucky position of being able to see their customers face to face. You know what your customers look like, you know what cars they drive and things like that. But it's also, you've got the opportunity then to encourage them to tell their friends through word of mouth and recommendation. And then finally, owned media is things like your website, your email database, to an extent your social media audiences as well. Here you can control the message completely. You're not relying on a filter, for example, the media, who can take what they want from what you're presenting to them. For your own channels, you can completely control your messaging, your timing. What you can't control so much or so quickly is your audience. And that really needs a longer term strategy to develop and grow your audience and really make sure that they are targeted and relevant. We always say quality over quantity here. Next slide, please, Rob. So while everybody is now closed and itching to open up and welcome guests again, hopefully, if you're not doing too much decorating or cleaning or trying to tidy up the garden, then there are lots of things that you could be working on to get your marketing ready for the expected and hopefully deluge of interest and visits that we're going to experience in the next couple of months. So the first thing really is get your website in order. Check that all the content on there is bang up to date. If you don't have a responsive website or hosting on a secure server, there's fundamental things that I'm sure if you've listened to any of Rob's webinars over the last 5 years, that those will be round home, that they're essential to get fixed. If you're on any third-party listing sites, make sure that you're up to date there, your availability is correct, your images are looking great. Just get it as good as it can be, and maybe have a poke around if you've got any good SEO plugins on a website to make sure that you've got your fields filled out there. Messaging, so important to think about putting yourself in the position of people booking a holiday. What do they want to be reassured about? And the two things are their health and safety. So have a dedicated COVID page on your website that you keep updated. Use that to convey information about how you're responding to any changes in the rules and regulations. Talk about cleaning and how you're looking after guests when they're on your premises. The other thing that's so important is flexibility, and people feel much more confident to book early if they know that they can switch dates or have a more flexible cancellation policy. So it's all about being aware of what people's concerns and drivers are, making sure that the messaging on your website reflects that as well. one thing to think about again is providing people with a desk or a workspace, or talking about the quality of your internet connection. If it's good enough for people to work remotely, and maybe book an extended stay where they can do a bit of continuing from working from home. So it's really being sensitive to the latest trends and how people are living their lives from week to week, which is really up in the air at the moment. Another thing to look at is your audiences and your own data. So things like updating your email marketing lists, making sure you've got all your recent guests added in there, provided they've consented to this. So just checking your GDPR compliance is still bang up to date as well. And keep the social media ticking over. Again, I'll let Catherine pick that side up a bit. So yeah, a bit of an audit of what you've currently got and really get it fit for purpose so that you're in as best place as possible to pick up the customers who are going to be looking for something last minute or at shorter notice. Next slide, please, Rob. So looking now for future years. If we're assuming that Cornwall's going to attract new customers and you'll pick up an element of those this year, what can you do to make sure that you're giving your business an ongoing benefit? And again, look at your messaging on your website. Does it say book direct with us for the best price, or do you offer people who book direct a room upgrade or some added benefits or a sort of welcome pack? I think it's making it clear to people that you would like them to deal with you direct, rather than relying on going through things like Airbnb or TripAdvisor or Booking.com and losing their margins. If people are told that it's okay for them to approach you direct and you welcome it, they're much more likely to do it. If you don't, then they'll go with the easiest option, unfortunately, which is to use the things they've always used before. A lot of the advice we give to our clients is to think of the TripAdvisors and Airbnbs as holiday search engines. So you might use them to acquire new clients, but you certainly don't want them repeat booking through there. You want them to come direct to you. Social media, it's when you've got guests in your business, it's encouraging them to like your accounts, to follow the profiles, and to post on social about their stay while they're there and when they've finished, when they're back home. A great way for referrals to get new clients, new bookings through that way. Email, do you capture this info when people check in? Do you get their consent to send them ongoing email communications? Again, if people are booking through these third-party platforms, they'll often have the encrypted emails or these temporary email addresses that are used to make the booking, which expire. So make sure you've got a process in place to capture the original guest details when they check in with you. And then finally, thinking about longer term about media coverage, it's a fantastic way of reaching new customers longer term. And I know it's tough at the moment. Everybody's either got rescheduled bookings or trying to claw back some of the revenue lost from last year. But if you're able to offer complimentary stays to journalists and bloggers and open a can of worms by saying the word influencers, then please do consider it. Visit Cornwall is a fantastic source of leads for press stays. So if you're prepared to offer and host journalists, let the team at Visit Cornwall know, and you may well find that there are opportunities that come your way through inquiries that you received at the head office there. Next slide, please, Rob. And why media coverage can be a good thing? Well, if you think that of the dozen or so best known news websites out there, they all have a domain authority ranking of 90 plus. They're amongst the best visited and highest ranked websites out there. And if you've got content about your business featured on these sites, then ultimately that's going to send direct traffic to your business, but it's also going to have a lot of knock-on benefits for improvements in organic search results. It's a cumulative thing. The more you have, the greater the impact, but it's a long-term benefit it will bring to your business. So I think if you're looking at longer term hosting PR days, press days this season, then it's something that can bring benefits over several years to come. Next slide, please, Rob. So a few things here as well that you can do to help yourself, and this is something that can be done in the next few weeks, but also more longer term as well. One is to think beyond your own offering and look in your area, in your town, in your village, in your part of Cornwall, that why do people come here? And where do you fit into that? And it may be that there are other businesses who complement what you do that you can team up with to jointly market each other and reach each other's audiences through emails, through social, through putting itineraries together for press trips. Having an outward-looking and collaborative perspective brings so many benefits, and it's as simple as thinking, well, what do our guests do when they're staying with us? Where do they go and eat? What do they do for days out? Which attractions do they visit? And if you start to see some patterns emerging, it's a really easy way to build a better picture of understanding what people get out of a stay, and put that information on your website if it's not already there. Help each other out, share links to each other's social platforms, to each other's websites. It's a really positive mindset that if you put things out there, will bring back benefits, and people will reciprocate. Generally speaking, particularly with the media, be responsive, act quickly if you're asked for information. It's going to be a competitive year for bookings, I think. So again, it's that just because you're closed at the moment, you're getting lots of inquiries, then it's the quicker you can get back to people, the sooner you can lock in the business. And final suggestion really is get some amazing photography. It's one of those things that just is so useful. It can be put to work across all the different channels we've talked about. It's never been more important for social media, and in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty affordable. Video is great and high impact, but it is not as versatile. So I think if I was going to spend £2,000 on my marketing, I'd probably spend half of it on photography and half of it on sorting out my website to get ready for the season ahead. Next slide, please, Rob. So that's me. There is plenty of information about other case studies that we've worked on, and quite a bit of blog content on our website, which would be useful if you're looking at certain aspects of marketing, stuff on social media, there's stuff on PR, there's the content on website content. So take a look at our website, and if you would like to find us on social, we're at Barefoot Media. So I think we've got a bit of a window for some questions. I'm sort of conscious there was quite a bit that we rattled through there. So if we were questions now or some together at the end.
There's no questions at the moment. If anybody's got any questions, if they could ask them in the questions section of the control panel, that would be brilliant, but nothing there at the moment. I think somebody's got their hand up, but if you could type a question, that would be great, and then I can share that with Jim.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jim. That was great. Shall we just go straight to Catherine then, and maybe pull some of the questions together at the end?
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, okay. So over to you, Catherine. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Jim. Thanks, Louise and Rob. So hi, everyone. My name is Catherine George. I'm the founder of OSO Social. We are international multi-award winning social media marketing experts. Try saying that after you've had a few. So what we do is social media marketing, strategy, consultancy, training, kind of everything within the realms of social media. And next slide, please, Rob. And as I said, I'm Catherine, so I'm the founder of OSO Social, but we do a lot to try to help businesses of all shapes and sizes really deliver on social. So as I've said, we're in OSO Social, also in OSO Savvy, which is a great resource just of training. I'm a Facebook She Needs Business mentor, so I do deliver a lot of accredited Facebook and Instagram training for free to women in business all over the Southwest. I'm also a Facebook Blueprint lead trainer, where again, we deliver an awful lot of free social media training, which is all now being delivered online. So if anyone needs any information or any more training after this, just look me up and you'll be able to access it all. And today I'm going to spend 15 minutes talking to you about social media and actually how you can really make it work for your businesses. So the big thing we learned in 2020 is that things have changed. You know, all of a sudden we got given this message to stay at home, and social media really came to the forefront. We found and proved that social media had never been more important, simply because if you lock people in their houses, they are desperate for connection. And that's what social media is all about. It's not called sales media, it's called social media. It is a place to connect to your customers and your potential customers. And we've seen so much happen in this sector in the last year. It's such a vital tool for all businesses, and it has such a low cost of entry that all businesses can use and utilize it. So we learned last year that by being at home, it gave us a new way to connect to our customers, or maybe not a new way, but a more profound way. And we saw lots of big businesses really kind of break down the barriers and see the authentic people behind the businesses. And we really learned that that's what people cared about. When we are coming on holiday to Cornwall, what we care about is the people we are staying with, the people whose restaurants we are going to, the beaches we're walking on, and we want to see that authentic, genuine experience. We also learned that people really want to support small businesses wherever possible. And we are seeing people kind of step away from the big places like Booking.com. Like Jim said, they're using them as a search engine. So let them use these big engines as a search engine, and then give them some really quality value add on your social media that makes them engage with you, that gives them the reassurance that they can book with you direct and they're going to be secure and they're going to have a good experience from it. We've seen a massive need for increased transparency. We really have. And what we found is social media is a perfect place to do this. And it hammers this point home perfectly that you don't have to be on every social media network. You need to be where your customers are. You need to be where they are. You need to be able to speak to them, and you need to be able to speak and engage with them in a transparent way. Everyone has concerns at the moment. Everyone is worried about what's going on in the world, and people have an element of fear. So yes, we are seeing bookings coming in, but Cornwall isn't full yet. So what we need to do as business owners is try to get our marketing hat on and really go, okay, where are our customers? How do we engage with them? And how can we reassure them that coming to Cornwall and coming to stay with us is going to be really key this year? Next slide, please, Rob. Perfect. So this is your first step to any kind of marketing. Stop and think, who is your customer? And really sit and think about this and be really impartial with it. So what is their age? What is their income? Are you a campsite? Are you a luxury boutique hotel? Are they single travelers? Are you a hostel? Are they a family? Are you a self-catering holiday retreat? Are they new customers? Are they returning? Knowing these things really help you speak to your customers, and it really helps you find where they are. There's no point being on every social media channel and hoping. There's no point trying to do every element of marketing and just hoping. What you need to do is really identify what is going to work for you and what's going to allow you to speak to your customers, because that's what we're doing on social media. We are building a relationship with them, and we are giving them value adds, and we are giving them reasons to trust us, believe in us, and actually feel safe about coming to stay with us. The big thing to think about when you're selling kind of holidays or things to do when on holiday is actually who makes the decision. Because we could be selling holidays based for a family, but actually within that, who's going to make that final decision? It's really important that you think about all your messaging for who you're targeting, what problem they're solving, and who's going to make that final decision, because it really helps guide your content creation. We then have to think about this. So your vanity versus your sanity customer. So I feel like this is one of the key things that we get all of the time on social media. It's who is our customer? And, you know, we've got loads of followers, but they're not converting. Please don't get caught up in having lots and lots of followers on social media. It's great. I've got 2,000 followers on Instagram. They're mainly young Turkish men. They're never going to buy social media management from me, but it makes me feel good. Unfortunately, it happens so much in social media marketing that people get really caught up in the vanity side of it. So please don't spend your time chasing page likes or influencers if they do not match your business. Have a really clear understanding of who your customer is and think about how you speak to them and how you connect to them, because it's going to be really, really key to do that. Have your clear idea of these are the people who we want to stay. These are the people we are aiming for. So I did an event at the end of last year with Visit Cornwall, and they said, we've got lots of people coming, but they weren't necessarily our kind of people. That's absolutely fine. It's your business. You are allowed to dictate who your customers are. Use your marketing and use your social media content to portray people. Portray the images of the person you want to connect with, because we all instinctively look for people that are similar to us. So the big thing with social media is it allows you to streamline your comms. It allows you to have one-to-one conversations with lots of different marketing customers. So yes, you could be talking to 100,000 people at once, but really you were talking to one person. You're talking to them when they're commuting, you're talking to them when they're at home. Let's face it, you're probably talking to them when they're on the toilet. So it's really important to have those one-to-one conversations, know what you're selling and know when you're selling it. So in the summer, you're probably selling a family holiday to the beach, possibly because they love Cornwall, possibly because they can't escape to Spain. Whereas in the autumn, you might be selling a walking holiday for an older couple. Have a really clear idea of what you're selling, who you're selling it to, when you're selling it, because then that'll help you identify which social media networks you need to be on, and it'll also help guide your content and your content creation to really ensure your social media delivers for you. So instead of just giving you that round and broad spectrum of, you know, find the right customer, I'm just going to tell you the best platforms we find in this sector. I have no idea what's happened to my bullet points on this slide. They were cool little surfers, but we'll just roll with squares instead. So the best networks for any hospitality business to use are listed below. So Facebook pages are really, really important in your social media marketing. Facebook own Facebook, Instagram, Marketplace, Messenger, Audience Network, Oculus, WhatsApp. There's a big family of things going. So it's really important that you have an active presence on your Facebook page. People come to Facebook for your daily connection. It's where we go to feel connected to people, brands, businesses that we love. So if you are using Facebook, make sure you are using it for that reason. We are looking to connect with people. We are looking to value add with people. We are looking to give them reasons to buy, and it relates back to what you're really selling. Because if you are a hotel, you're probably not selling a bed for a night. You're selling an experience. And it's so important to know that. Facebook groups are a really underutilized tool, but we are seeing some really incredible success, especially in this sector. We onboarded one client into Facebook groups where they created their top VIPs for their spa within the hotel, especially around the time of GDPR. What they did was funnel their top customers into a VIP group, and they used them to not only gauge customer responses back, but to directly communicate them with offers and opportunities. Facebook groups work really well regardless of what you are, whether you're a wedding venue, whether you're a campsite, whether you're a hotel. If you have a loyal customer base, funnel them into a Facebook group. It allows you to have a really direct conversation with them without the risk of your content not being seen. What it also does is allow you to collect your brand advocates. If people are coming to stay with you, people have been on several occasions, it's because they care. Big thing we found in 2020 was your customers really care about you. That's why they're your customers. So drive them into a Facebook group, invite them in. When someone makes a new booking at your campsite, you've already got a group there of people who love your campsite. They know all the best places to eat. They know the best things to do. They can share advice and they can help you create your community. This community will drive you more direct sales. You can speak to them directly. You can ask what features they want, what their favorite things is. And not only does it give you really useful information back, you can then actively sell easily to this group of people. Facebook advertising is my favorite type of advertising. Thanks, Rob. I'm a little bit biased. I'm a performance advertiser, but what Facebook does is allow you to reach your customers where they're online first, and where they're going to engage with you. Facebook adverts display across the whole Facebook family, so that includes Instagram and Audience Network, and they can really deliver at a really low budget. So if you do have some budget for advertising spend, I highly recommend testing Facebook adverts, but my word of warning is get some training first. We offer loads of free training, so just join our Facebook group and we'll get some to you guys. Instagram is a big network, especially for this sector. It's where we all go to live our Insta lives. So if your real audience, not your vanity audience, but your sanity audience is on Instagram, make sure you spend some time there and start cultivating a presence. Pinterest is another great website. It works very similar to kind of search engines, and it can help you drive some really good traffic. The one kind of word of warning with Pinterest is lots of people are planning their ideal lives and they're not really in that position yet. I've been on the global weddings boards on Pinterest for about 6 years. I'm a global weddings influencer. I've only recently got a boyfriend, so I'm quite far away from that. So that's just something to be aware of. And WhatsApp for Business is a really underutilized tool for businesses in the sector as well, because it's such a lovely way to connect and engage with your customers. Next slide, please, Rob. So now I've told you where you should be and what platforms you should be using. How do you start creating content? Because I know this is a really big thing that really overwhelms people, and I promise it's not that difficult. So if we have the next slide, please, Rob. Start by defining your key message, and your key message should be part of all of your social content and all of your marketing. It's who you are, it's what you want to be known for, it's the most important stuff to you. It's that thing that makes you really different, and it speaks directly to your customer. And not only that, it helps define you as a business and what stands you apart from your competitors. Next slide, please. Don't be afraid to tell your story. What you do is completely bespoke to you. You have your own story, your own legacy, and people care about that. People care about why they come to you. That's why they're your customers. There's something you do different to everybody else. So don't be afraid to tell your unique story and share those elements of you that people want to engage with and they want to inspire to be with. So, next slide, please, Rob. We know on all social media, you are not just competing with your competitors. You're competing against babies, weddings, graduations. So actually, with the 1.3 seconds you've got to create to catch someone's attention, how do you create content that really kind of stops attention and stops it with a low budget? So there's 4 kind of key pillars that you can use on an evolutionary psychology level that really help people remember you. So next slide, please. The first one is food. Easy win for lots of people in this session. So if we see pictures of food, we are programmed in to engage and remember it. We're all programmed to continue to live. So it's really important that if you are a restaurant, if you're a hotel, if you're anywhere that sells a food offering and drink, make sure you use it in your social content, because by default, you will automatically get people's attention. Next slide, please. So the next one is fears. So there used to be a big spider on this slide, but I'm not a big spider fan. So we took it off. So fears is another really big one. I don't recommend that you publish loads of things that scare your customers, but it is something that will spark people's attention. So if you know your customers are scared of not getting their holiday to Cornwall, there are ways that you can start subtly teasing that out in your content. Next slide, please. So this is the big one, faces. So I don't know if anyone else has noticed this year that when you're on Zoom or Teams, you keep looking at yourself. That's not because you're super vain, unless I'm the only one doing it, in which case maybe I am super vain. It's because evolutionary, we are programmed to make eye contact with people. So whenever we use social media content, if we can put someone's face looking towards the camera into that content, it will instinctively hold attention longer. With all of your content, you have to try to get someone's attention, and image and video is the best way to do that. Once you've got someone's attention, they can read the caption around it and read the message within there. But getting that initial attention is really, really key. Next slide, please, Rob. Connection. So we've all heard that sex sells, but actually, as humans, we are all looking for that connection all of the time. So within our content, use people that look like our customers. If you are going to a campsite, you will have a very different customer base to a boutique spa weekend. Within your content, use images of people that look like your customers. It's really key that we all kind of want to feel loved. We all want to feel connected with. So wherever you can, not only use content of people looking dead on, but use pictures of content that look like your existing customers, that look like people you want to aspire to have come with you. And of course, there's always the standard, make sure you catch attention early. So that's a very whistle-stop tour to kind of social media, but hopefully it has been helpful for some of you. Any questions?
I haven't got any questions coming at the moment, but now's the time for people to tap away and ask if they've got any. No questions there. So shall we? Oh, one question just come in from Sarah, saying classically Mr. Stories bit, dog and children. Is it too annoying to quickly recap that?
No, of course not. So just make it really clear to tell your own story. So as I've said, we found more so than ever, people are really interested in authenticity, and they're interested in the story and the people behind the business. People don't buy from businesses, they buy from people. So have a think about what elements of yourself, of your business story, and how you developed you are happy to sell and you want to talk about. And then don't be afraid to share that story and tell us how you've progressed, how you've developed, how your business has grown. And share that unique story, because it is completely unique to you and it will work as a unique selling point.
Okay, just got a couple of questions coming in now. I'm just going to pop those on and get the other screen up. Okay. And should update in a minute. So is there a good time of day or day of the week with each social media platform?
No, so they are all unique to you. So there used to be guidelines of like 9 in the morning or lunchtime, but actually each social media channel will have your unique following, and then you'll have your own unique time to you. So all of these networks have built-in analytics. So in Facebook, just go to your Facebook page, your insights on your left-hand page, left-hand menu, then people. If you hover over, it gives you times of the week when your fans are online and times of day. Try to optimize for when your fans are online. On Instagram, go to your profile, top right-hand corner, the 3 little lines, insights, and again, it'll tell you the days in the week, the days of the week and the times of day that your fans are online. And aim your content for when people are online, when you see those spikes. And if it's at a really unsociable hour for you, just use scheduling software. That's the one thing people are really scared of, and you shouldn't be. Scheduling software is phenomenal and it can save you so much time.
And then just a slight addition to that, also I want to run a competition. What is the best channel? How can I drive sales with it?
So running competitions are tricky, just because you need to make sure you get a really strong return on investment from it. A big thing to mention is on Facebook, like and share competitions are actually against T's and C's. We see lots of people run them, but you do run the risk of being switched off. If you do want to run a Facebook competition, make it a like and comment and just put underneath, don't forget to share, but don't make it part of that entry mechanism. I like a competition on Facebook. I also like a competition on Instagram, just because it helps to really boost up your vanity following as well, and it can help your reach. You'll also find via the nature of social media, we tend to be friends with people we've got similar interests with. So if you use Facebook, it's much easier for them to share that post and then hopefully bring new customers into your sales funnel. So I would use Facebook, but make sure you use T's and C's. Again, we've got a copy. Our Facebook group's called Social Media Training with Facebook Blueprint Lead Trainer Catherine George. Not our most catchy name, but we've got all these things in there if you need them as a resource.
And I'm not sure if you got that one. I've just been tapping away, Catherine. If I want to advertise, what's the best channel to spend on ads, Instagram or Facebook?
So in answer to your question, what I would recommend is creating your advert initially in Facebook Ads Manager. So if you're unsure about it, get some training, go into Ads Manager. What it will do is optimize out across all of the Facebook family. So Facebook, Instagram, Marketplace, Messenger, Audience Network. What it will then do is optimize for where your fans are online, but more importantly, where your fans are converting. So after you've run an initial campaign, even if it's £5 or £10 for 5 days, what that will do is give you your own data and then advise you on where to run your adverts in future. You can see it in the breakdown because each business is different. We've got some businesses who you would expect most of their traffic to be from Instagram, but actually with an advert, it's Audience Network. So just do a test, look at those results, and then go with the most successful one moving forwards.
And then, sorry, I'll post this verbatim. Can't you say that again? What was the blueprint with Catherine George place again?
So it's a Facebook group. It's just called Social Media Training with Facebook Blueprint Lead Trainer Catherine George. I can send around the link afterwards. It's free training that I do on behalf of Facebook.
Yeah, if you can pop that in as one of the just in the chat in GoToWebinar, Catherine, whilst Matt's talking, then I'll pop it up on the questions for the end.
Perfect, I'll do that right now.
Brilliant. A few more questions. Which scheduling software would you recommend?
So I would recommend Agorapulse, being fully transparent. We use them in the office. I'm a brand ambassador. We can give everyone 2 months free access. And I believe, I don't know whether I'm meant to tell anyone yet, but they do now have a free version. If it's not live at the moment, it will be live in the next few weeks. It's the best scheduling software I've ever used. I'll include a link for that as well.
Okay, thank you. Next question. WhatsApp is new to me for marketing. Would you advise to start using this, and presumably you need agreement from the customer?
So WhatsApp is really interesting. So it's download the WhatsApp for Business app, and it's just a new way of communication. So it's similar to kind of Facebook Messenger. So people will have to message you first and then you can reply. But what we found is over the years, people are more and more reluctant to ring people, and customers want to communicate with businesses where they feel most comfortable. So WhatsApp for Business not only allows you to WhatsApp them, it gives you an element of protection. It gives you out of hours. It gives you frequently answered questions. And what it can also do is act as a bit of a guardian. You know, we've all had those phone calls at midnight, we've all had those phone calls at 5 a.m. By installing WhatsApp for Business, it can give you a bit of security, and it can allow multiple different people to use it at the same time. So we've got WhatsApp for Business on my work phone, but then Sophie will be connected and on the web. So we always make sure we don't miss comms. We've got a recorded training about WhatsApp for Business in that Facebook group. If anyone wants to go back and have a look at it, it kind of explains all.
Next one. Where does Twitter fit in with your campaigns?
Oh, so I love Twitter, but it is a proper Marmite platform. Like, people either love it or hate it. If you love Twitter, please use it, but just be really cautious about where your customers are. It's like I said earlier, you don't need to be on every social media network. You need to be where your customers are. We find that Twitter has a really unique audience, so they tend to be much more educated. They tend to have something more to say. It's a really good way to connect with other businesses, marketing managers, directors. It tends to have a much higher kind of education level with it. So if you spend time on Twitter and you feel that your customers are there, by all means include it in your marketing mix. But if you're busy, go in your Google Analytics and notice and see where your customers are coming from. Because if all of your traffic is coming from Facebook and all of your conversions are coming from Facebook, but you're spending all your time on Twitter, you're better off switching that time investment onto Facebook where you're getting your conversions. So again, look at your Twitter analytics. They're free to switch on. Just go to profile, turn them on, and they're all there for you. And look at your Google Analytics. It's a really important tool to see not only where your customers are coming from, but where they're converting. Because social media isn't linear like a lot of the other stuff. It's very multi-touch. So it's really important to be aware that actually maybe Twitter's bringing in a lot of your initial customers. So just have a good look at your Google Analytics and then make that decision for yourself.
Okay, and that's all the questions. Thanks very much for that.
Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you, Catherine. That was great. So I'm going to pass over to Matt now. Matt, I believe you're going to just kind of talk a little bit about your experience working the Growth Hub. Is that right? And
that's
then
right. Yeah. So thank you, Louise. So I'm not going to talk for too long. Catherine and Jim have given some really good practical tips there, some really good information for business owners. So I just give you a bit of intro. I worked for a tour operator for about 15 years as a sales and marketing director, and during that time I was helping other travel, tourism, hospitality, leisure businesses with their marketing, and that's really where Paddle was born a couple of years ago, through that passion experience really. And Paddle does web design, pay-per-click, content marketing, drone services as well, which is crucial for a lot of Cornish businesses. And when I started the business, I think it's crucial for every business to sort of leave no stone unturned. It's a difficult market. You know, every business is competing with other businesses. It's competing with external forces, which in travel and leisure can be anything from COVID to terror attacks to, you know, all sorts of things going on, recession. So you really got to leave no stone unturned. And as a business, I live by the ethos. You got to, you know, there's no one magic bullet. So I got in touch with the Growth Hub really to sort of give yourself an edge. Why not? It's a free service. So I got in touch and I spoke to Chris there. And there's two reasons really why I wanted to speak to the Growth Hub. Was really, the first was networking. I'm not from Cornwall originally, been here a few years now, but my network is generally all in other parts of the country. So I didn't have too many business connections within Cornwall itself. And the Growth Hub was really my network into a lot of businesses. You know, I work with other businesses. The Growth Hub works with businesses. So if you work with other businesses or you've got the opportunity to do that, the Growth Hub can connect you up, and that's really great. I mean, I've got quite a few clients via the Growth Hub. They've recommended my services or pinpointed people to my direction. I've found photographers which I now work with, all different experts in different areas I've found via the Growth Hub, which has been great. The second one was funding. So small business, you know, if there's any funding out there, great, I'll take it. And with COVID about, there's quite a bit of funding about. I was pinpointed by Chris to the Kickstart grant, which I was successful in. And that allowed me to then get some more equipment to go along with my drone services to then provide extra services for the travel and leisure businesses. So I'm working with a few B&Bs and that sort of thing, doing digital guest books, extra photography services, etc., etc. So really, it's just a case of, I think, I'm going to be very quick, but the Growth Hub is just a free service there, which if you can use it, use it. Why not? It's free. Some of your competitors won't be using it. It's just an extra tool. So Catherine and Jim have talked about all these different options you've got, which are all practical, fantastic options. You should go for social, go for PR and all the rest of it. And it's so important. But the Growth Hub really is just an extra tool in your toolkit. Why not take it really? And that's really all I've got to say. But it's been really useful for me and really helpful in sort of pinpointing my business to different networks and funding sources really. It's a good contact to have.
Great, thank you. I also believe you've got some top tips. Am I right in saying that? I know that was discussed. No, is there anything else that you can maybe add as far as kind of your expertise to anything more Catherine has said?
Sorry, you broke off then, Louise.
Sorry. Is there anything else you'd like to add around marketing advice or social media advice in addition to the great advice that Jim and Catherine have given?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, really just touching on what those say. So in marketing, my experience is you don't sell a product or service, you sell experiences. That's what you're selling. Marketing is all about emotion and experience. So you really got to touch on that. You know, Catherine mentioned that you got to get people's faces in your marketing. People have got to try and put themselves in your marketing, recognize themselves in that marketing mix. So, and there's also no magic bullet. So there's no one channel where you can use which is going to transform your business. You've got to really try and tap into every angle of marketing you can do, from content marketing to social media to a great website to great visuals. There's so many different channels you need to use, and you need to use as many as you can. If you try and rely on one channel for marketing, it might be pay-per-click or booking.com or whatever it might be, at some point you become a stickler because other people are always trying to find new ways to market, and you've got to try and be one step ahead of people. That's just the way it works. There are a few free things you can do, or simple things you can do in terms of your business. So things like Google My Business, which is a free Google service. You can go on and create your business profile. And I work with a lot of businesses, and a lot of them don't even have a Google My Business page because they're not aware of it. Now, Google My Business is just a free service Google Ads where you can add your business details. And if people are doing Google searches, you're more likely to be found. You can optimize that as well by adding your services. You can create posts on there. So that's a really good free tip. And you can also create a Bing version of that, the Microsoft version, Bing Places for businesses, which you can synchronize with your Google My Business page. And those are two free things which I advise every business to do. It will help you appear on searches more, which is crucial. So they're really just some free things you can do.
Brilliant, great, thank you. Matt, I don't know if you can just go into the chat and maybe just add, I know that we saw the previous slide, but some details on your business, you know, the link to your website and one thing another. Great, brilliant. So I think we'll just open up now what we're looking at. It's all but 12:10. I think we'll just open it up now for some questions to everyone. So if anyone's got any questions at this time, we can open it up to the panel. Robert's any come in?
Just having a, I've just got, Matt's just sent his link to the website, which is on the screen there anyway. No more questions yet, but here's the two links that that Catherine shared with us. So again, if anybody's got any questions, if they can just tap them in the questions box on the control panel, that would be super.
I've just got one quick question really. I don't think we touched too much on SEO. But I know we did a little bit, you guys. But is there any advice that you can give businesses on increasing their SEO in a way that isn't going to cost them a lot of money? Or money?
So I'll chip in if you want. So SEO's got many facets to it. You've got technical SEO, content SEO, and outreach SEO. So there's many different assets to it. But one thing all businesses can do is it's the content element. So content generally can be in forms of blogs and just website content in general. So if you research what your customers are searching for, which you can often find through Google Analytics, write content. If you're closed at the minute because of COVID, use this time to write content. It just will enable people to find you more in searches.
Yeah, I should add to that. I think write content for humans first, which is almost counterintuitive when you're trying to gain Google. Google's trying to find the content its users are searching for. So if you write the content for the people first, invariably in the long term, it's the kind of content that will bring you the most benefits. If you have a WordPress website, which so many people do, or Squarespace, make sure you've got either an SEO plugin installed on there, or dig out the SEO editing areas in the back end and just make sure you've got your page descriptions written and your alt tags on your images, and that your URLs are written descriptively and in a way that's relevant. So we're straying deeply into Rob's area of expertise here, so I always feel a bit nervous talking about SEO when Rob's listening in. But yeah, I think humans first is my advice there.
Maybe Rob might want to add something to that.
Well, I'm just the host, but if anybody's got any questions relating to SEO, I'm more than happy to answer anything.
Great, thank you. Has any more come in?
No questions at the moment. So we've got Malcolm back.
Yeah. I know. The one thing I'd like to add is, and Rob's just reminded me beforehand, is the other update I should have given for on grants is the additional restricted grant, which was for people mainly who'd missed out, has been oversubscribed, and they have communicated to say they can only give 50% out to those that are eligible. But there has been a letter gone off to the Chancellor today for more money, backing up on the fact that the Cornish economy has been hit one of the hardest. So although the impression in London is that, you know, it was a great summer and everything was booming, when you actually look at their reliance on the visitor economy, there's maps come out that said even with that, we're the hardest hit. So they are arguing to use money they've already got, but the government want back from people who hadn't claimed other grants. So that one is still ongoing, but that's just a quick grant update. And I think you're quite right, Jim. We do seem to have wall-to-wall coverage of Cornwall at the moment. I think yesterday there were about 2 hours worth on, plus you could always dip over to Dock Martin or Whitcliffe. Just a funny story, I had a colleague from the New Forest phoned up about Winter Watch, and he said, I sat down to watch Winter Watch thinking, well, at least Cornwall won't be on that, and within 6 minutes it was on about beavers in Cornwall. So you even managed to squeeze in on the New Forest programme, which was a bit entertaining, really. But I think it's been a really good session. I think it's excellent what Jim, Catherine, Matt and Louise and everybody's put into this, because it's about thinking. And I think the biggest thing is that the thing just came up about think about your customers, think about them as humans, think about what they're interested in, and engaging on that basis. And that's the same in any form of sales and marketing, because it's actually is if you develop that relationship, you know, people will buy, but people don't often respond well to being heavily sold at. So it's engaging with them. But I'd like to thank everybody, but that's anything more for me. We'll be running webinars all through this wonderful lockdown. And we're also going to be looking to do a whole week in early March on a range of topics, but we're just trying to work out what the government are likely to be up to and what we need to theme those on. But thanks, guys. Thanks, Louise.
Thank you. I think we might wrap it up there. If any further questions are to come in, we can obviously be more than happy to kind of send email responses to those. So if you want to forward them, by all means do so.
I've just got one more question has just popped in there, saying, is there any point in investing in written literature, i.e. leaflets?
I'll answer part of that. I think it is looking again at your audience. I mean, we know, I mean, we haven't this year because obviously COVID. People do like a map. They like a map of a local area. They like a map of Cornwall. It's whether it's your audience is turned on by print, if you get me, or turned off by digital, or that print still has that place. Often with new technologies, they're in addition to, not instead of. So I think it's a matter of your audience and actually, is it complementary? And the advantage with digital is you can change it instantaneously. For all of us who've gone through the pain of doing print, and hoping you didn't spot the last typo that was missed, and then get 50,000 copies made and be embarrassed for the next 10 months that there's a print error in it. So it has its place, but I think it's based on the audience, but I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Yeah, I think there's certainly for high-end and high-quality editorial, that's still a very, so for in the premium end of the spectrum, is still really effective. And it's a lot of, you see several of the hotels produce a magazine rather than a brochure. Yeah, leaflets and flyers, again, less and less useful as people rely on digital more. One of the clients we've worked with for years is Pasto Christmas Festival, and they produce a printed program every year, which is oversubscribed for advertising, which it makes money for the organisers, which is channeled back into running the event. But people really like that because it provides practical, useful information. It's got a map, it's got timetables, it's got ideas of where to eat and drink, it's got recipes that people can cook at home. So it's making sure that if you are going to do that, you know why you're doing it and that the content really sticks with the audience.
I controversially quite like a leaflet for someone who's so digitally heavy, but again, it just goes back to what Malcolm said. It's all about knowing your audience, and I think being realistic about what you are and what you deliver for someone. So if you are a half-day tourist attraction, it's going to be worth investing some leaflets in a similar tourist attraction. Of course, however, this year there is a big question mark about it, and we've actually pulled a lot of print for our clients this year under concerns that they wouldn't be able to use it. However, if you've got any evergreen leaflets, or if you can save them till next year, small print runs I think can be really beneficial, especially say if you're a new garden and you know you're a half-day visit. If you can get your leaflet in another garden in a similar area that is also a half-day visit, it just makes sense to use a visitor's time while in the county.
Okay, that looks as though it's the questions. I'm just holding on for a bit for suspended animation. Like to thank the speakers again, like to thank the Growth Hub, and again, you know, they are there, you know, go and visit, see what they do. Don't be afraid to phone them up. And also we'll see hopefully many of you more on future webinars. So thank you very much. There is no snow, as Cornwall Live always goes, such an honest source of intelligence. But anyway, me being slightly cheeky. But take care, look after yourselves, and stay warm at the moment as well. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Thank you. Thanks Malcolm. Bye.